This is one of those games that feels bigger than just another matchup on the schedule, and if you're a 49ers fan, you can feel it. This is prime time, at home, with everything still right in front of San Francisco. The playoffs are already locked in, but this game is about momentum, positioning, and sending a message to the rest of the NFC that this team is peaking at the right time. When you look at how the 49ers are playing right now, winning games convincingly and stacking strong performances week after week, this feels like a chance to prove they belong in that top-tier conversation without any hesitation. What makes this game even more interesting is who's coming to town. The Bears are not the same team people were laughing at earlier in the season. They're confident, they're explosive, and they believe they can walk into Levi's Stadium and win. That alone should get your attention. This isn't a sleepy matchup or a trap game. This is two teams that think they're dangerous, both playing with something to gain, and that's why this one matters so much for the 49ers. From the San Francisco side, this game is also about answering some lingering questions. Can this offense keep humming against a physical opponent? Can Brock Purdy continue playing calm, efficient, winning football under the bright lights? Can this team overcome injuries, short rest, and still look like the more disciplined, better prepared group? These are the kinds of questions that don't go away in January, and how the 49ers respond here could tell us a lot about what's coming next. As we go through this breakdown, we're going to talk about why the 49ers offense has found its rhythm, how Christian McCaffrey is becoming even more important down the stretch, what George Kittle's status means for everything Kyle Shanahan wants to do, and why this matchup with Caleb Williams is way more complicated than it looks on the surface. We'll also get into the rest disadvantage that nobody seems to be talking about enough, and whether that could actually swing this game. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you this straight up. Do you feel more confident about this 49ers team right now than you did a month ago? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments because I'm really curious where the fan base is at heading into this one. And if you want daily 49ers coverage like this, make sure you subscribe and help this channel push toward 1,000 subscribers. It makes a huge difference, and you won't miss anything down the stretch. Stick with me because next, we're getting into why this 49ers offense might be hitting its stride at exactly the right time. When you look at what the 49ers offense is doing right now, it feels different. Not flashy for the sake of being flashy, not reckless, not forcing things. It feels controlled, confident, and efficient, and a huge part of that starts with Brock Purdy. The conversation around Purdy has changed this season, whether people want to admit it or not. This isn't just a quarterback being carried by talent. This is a quarterback who understands where to go with the football, when to take chances, and how to keep the offense on schedule even when things aren't perfect around him. What's impressive about Purdy is how steady he's been despite everything this offense has dealt with. Injuries at key positions, receivers in and out of the lineup, and a run game that hasn't always been as explosive as we're used to seeing. And yet, the offense keeps moving. Purdy doesn't panic. He doesn't force throws that aren't there. He takes what the defense gives him, and when the moment calls for it, he'll push the ball downfield. That balance is why this offense feels sustainable, not just hot. Christian McCaffrey is the other engine that makes everything go, and his role has quietly evolved as the season has gone on. The raw rushing numbers might not jump off the screen the way they did in past years, but lately you can see the difference. The running lanes look cleaner. The decisions are quicker. He's hitting 4, 5, 6 yards more consistently, and that changes everything for Kyle Shanahan. When the defense has to respect the run between the tackles, it opens up play action. It opens up the middle of the field, and it makes Purdy's job easier. McCaffrey is also still one of the most reliable receiving backs in football, and that matters in games like this. Against a defense that wants to take away explosive plays, having a back who can turn a check down into a first down keeps drives alive and wears teams down. That's where this offense becomes dangerous. It's not just about big plays. It's about stacking first downs and forcing defenses to stay on the field longer than they want to. And then there's George Kittle, because you can't talk about this offense without mentioning how much he affects everything, even when he's not catching passes. His blocking has helped stabilize the run game, and his presence in the middle of the field forces defenses to make tough choices. If you commit extra attention to Kittle, someone else gets space. If you don't, he'll punish you. That ripple effect is why this offense feels more balanced now than it did earlier in the season. Let me ask you this. Do you think Brock Purdy is playing the best football of his career right now? Or do you feel like there's still another level he hasn't hit yet? Drop your take in the comments, and if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure you like the video and subscribe so we can keep building toward that 1,000 subscriber goal together. Coming up next, we have to talk about injuries and why George Kittle's availability could quietly decide how this game unfolds. In a game like this, injuries aren't just a side note. They're a central part of the story, and for the 49ers, no injury looms larger than George Kittle's. When people talk about Kittle, they usually focus on the highlight plays, the yards after catch, the touchdowns, the energy he brings. But what makes him so valuable to this offense is everything that doesn't show up cleanly in the box score. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in football, and his presence completely changes how defenses have to line up against San Francisco. When Kittle is on the field, Kyle Shanahan has the full playbook available. You can run power, you can run inside zone, you can sell play action, and you can attack the middle of the field aggressively. Defenses can't just pin their ears back or sit in two high shells all game, because Kittle will hurt you either in the run game or down the seams. That's why his recent production matters so much. Over his last several games, he's been on an absolute tear, consistently moving the chains and showing why he's still the most complete tight end in the NFL. If Kittle is limited or unavailable, the ripple effect is real. The run game loses some physicality. The passing game loses one of its most reliable targets, especially in the red zone and on third down. Brock Purdy then has to rely more heavily on receivers who, while capable, don't command the same level of defensive attention. That doesn't mean the offense falls apart, but it does mean the margin for error gets thinner. Beyond Kittle, this team has been navigating injuries all season, and that's part of why the way they're playing right now is so impressive. Guys have been in and out, roles have shifted, and Shanahan has had to adapt week after week. We've seen younger players and depth pieces step up, not necessarily dominating games, but doing their jobs well enough to keep the offense functional and efficient. That adaptability is a strength, especially this late in the season. What stands out is how calm this group looks despite all of it. There's no sense of panic. There's no sense that the offense is searching for answers. They know who they are, and they know how they want to play. Kittle's status matters. No question, but this team has shown it can adjust and still compete at a high level when things don't go exactly as planned. So I want to hear from you on this one. Do you think George Kittle is the most important non-quarterback on the 49ers offense? Yes or no? And if he's limited in this game, do you still feel confident the 49ers can win? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like the video to help us keep pushing toward 1,000 subscribers. Up next, we're flipping sides and talking about Caleb Williams, the Bears offense, and the matchups the 49ers absolutely have to win on Sunday night. Now let's talk about the other side of this matchup, because ignoring what the Bears offense can do would be a mistake. Caleb Williams is one of those quarterbacks that forces you to defend the entire field, and even when things aren't perfect, he can still hurt you. The numbers don't always tell the full story with him, and that's why this is such a tricky matchup for a 49ers defense that has been dealing with injuries and depth issues all season. What makes Caleb dangerous isn't just his arm strength, it's his confidence. He's willing to attempt throws most quarterbacks won't even consider. And while that leads to some incompletions, it also leads to explosive plays. He's been at his best late in games, and that matters. If this one stays close, the 49ers have to be disciplined and composed, because Williams has shown he can make big plays when the pressure is highest. DJ Moore is the player that really ties this offense together. When he's involved, the Bears' offense looks completely different. He's not just a gadget guy or a deep threat. He can win at all three levels, and when Williams and Moore are in rhythm, it puts a lot of stress on the secondary. For San Francisco, that means communication has to be sharp, and tackling has to be clean, because Moore can turn a short gain into something much bigger if you give him space. The other big key is the run game. The Bears want to run the football, control the clock, and keep their quarterback in manageable situations. If the 49ers can't hold up against the run, it becomes a long night. That's where this game could swing. San Francisco has to win early downs, force longer third downs, and avoid letting Chicago dictate tempo. If the Bears are living in third and short, Caleb Williams becomes even more dangerous because the entire playbook is open. This is also where the lack of consistent pass rush becomes a concern. When Williams has time, he's at his best. If the 49ers can't generate pressure without blitzing, it puts a lot of strain on the coverage. That doesn't mean they can't win, but it does mean execution has to be near perfect on the back end. So here's my question for you. What worries you more in this matchup? Caleb Williams extending plays with his legs, or DJ Moore beating the secondary downfield? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're locked in for this game, make sure you like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any post-game coverage. Coming up next, we're breaking down the rest disadvantage, the coaching chess match, and I'll give you my final prediction for this one. This is where the conversation gets really interesting, because not enough people are talking about the rest and preparation disadvantage the 49ers are dealing with in this game. On paper, San Francisco is at home, and that usually means comfort, routine, and an edge. But when you dig a little deeper, this week hasn't been normal at all. Coming off a road Monday night game, traveling back across the country, and then turning around to prepare for a physical opponent is not an easy situation, especially this late in the season. The Bears, meanwhile, played earlier and at home. That extra time matters. It means more recovery, more film study, and more opportunities for a coaching staff to fine-tune a game plan. When you're facing a creative offense and a quarterback like Brock Purdy, those extra hours can make a difference. And when you're trying to slow down Christian McCaffrey and account for George Kittle, preparation is everything. This is where the coaching chess match really comes into play. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive minds in football, and his ability to adjust has kept this team winning despite injuries and adversity. But Ben Johnson on the other sideline is no slouch. He's aggressive, detail-oriented, and willing to take calculated risks. Giving a coach like that extra preparation time is not ideal, and the 49ers are going to have to be sharp from the opening drive to avoid falling behind early. That said, playing at Levi's Stadium still matters. This team is comfortable there, and when the offense gets rolling, it can snowball quickly. If San Francisco starts fast and forces the Bears to chase the game, that rest disadvantage becomes less relevant. This really comes down to execution. Protect the football, stay ahead of the chains, and avoid self-inflicted mistakes. So how do I see this one playing out? I think it's a competitive, physical game that comes down to a handful of key moments. If the 49ers can control the run game just enough and avoid giving up cheap explosive plays, I like their chances. Brock Purdy's poise, combined with McCaffrey's versatility, gives this team a slight edge at home, even with the shortened week. I'm leaning toward a close 49ers win, but it's not going to be easy. This is the kind of game that tests discipline, depth, and coaching, and it should tell us a lot about where this team really stands heading into the playoffs.